Between Silverstone and Spa, Lewis Hamilton walked through the doors of Ferrari's Maranello headquarters, carrying nothing more than a slim black folder. It looked unremarkable to the untrained eye, not the kind of thing that would send ripples through the paddock. But to those inside Ferrari's inner circle, it was something closer to a declaration of war. The cameras never saw it, but multiple sources confirmed that this was not a set of race notes or casual setup tweaks. Inside that folder was what some are now calling a power map, a comprehensive driver blueprint for Ferrari's 2026 Formula One challenger. This wasn't about shaving a tenth off the SF25's lap time next weekend. It was about embedding Hamilton's DNA into the car that will define the next regulation era. Active aero deployment strategies, hybrid power distribution patterns, revised suspension geometry, altered pedal box positioning, and steering feedback curves tuned to his exact driving instincts. The dossier was meticulous. According to insiders, Charles Leclerc never even saw it. While the headlines in Hungary fixated on Hamilton's Q2 exit and Leclerc's pole position, the real shift in Ferrari's balance of power was happening far from the track. Former F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya, speaking cryptically to Colombian media, warned that Leclerc's life will get harder. At the time, it sounded like speculation. Now, in light of Hamilton's closed-door meeting, it reads more like a coded prediction. Because in Formula One, influence inside the factory often matters more than anything the world sees on Sunday afternoon. And Hamilton has just made his biggest move yet. To understand why this single folder matters, you have to step back and look at the internal hierarchy of Ferrari over the past 5 years. Charles Leclerc has been their golden project, the Monégasque prodigy who carried the Scuderia's hopes through turbulent seasons. He's been the de facto voice in the simulator, the default reference for car balance feedback, the emotional centerpiece of the team's marketing. But Formula One has a long history of power tilting toward the driver, who can translate influence into engineering control. Michael Schumacher didn't just win at Ferrari. He shaped its technical philosophy down to the positioning of the brake bias adjuster on the steering wheel. Fernando Alonso's years at Renault were defined by a chassis molded to his corner entry aggression. In both cases, the number one wasn't always decided by lap time alone, but by who dictated the DNA of the car before it was even born. Now, in 2025, Ferrari is staring down a complete reset for 2026. Smaller, lighter cars, narrower tires, active aero replacing DRS, and a new 50-50 hybrid power split. That's a once-in-a-decade opportunity for a driver to lock in their style as the template for the next era. Leclerc's advantage is history and loyalty. Hamilton's advantage is that he's been here before. He understands the politics of a regulation change better than almost anyone still on the grid. And by walking into Maranello with a pre-engineered blueprint, he skipped months of back-and-forth debate and dropped a fully formed vision directly into the laps of Ferrari's decision-makers. The dossier itself reads like something a technical director would submit to the FIA, not the handiwork of a driver between races. According to multiple engineers who've seen it, the opening pages set the tone. A revised weight distribution target specifically designed for the reduced wheelbase of the 2026 cars, optimizing rotation in slow-speed corners while maintaining stability under high-speed aero load. The active aero section was even more revealing. Instead of treating the movable elements as simple drag reduction tools, Hamilton's plan maps their deployment to mimic the effect of high-rake philosophy under braking, creating extra rotation into medium-speed corners without sacrificing straight-line efficiency. The hybrid strategy pages outlined a power deployment curve that holds back 15% more electrical energy in the first sector to unleash through the exit of the longest straight, a tactic aimed at maximizing overtaking windows without compromising tire life. Suspension geometry drawings were paired with pedal box repositioning to subtly change Hamilton's brake and throttle cadence, while steering column specifications demanded an adjustable feedback profile that could be tuned per circuit. Even the brake migration maps were tuned to favor aggressive front axle loading, perfect for Hamilton's late braking style. These aren't throwaway ideas from a post-session chat. They're CAD-level schematics cross-referenced with simulator data, wind, tunnel results, and computational fluid dynamics plots. One engineer described Hamilton's technical fluency as unusual for a driver, noting that he referenced airflow separation points and cooling efficiency margins with the precision of someone who'd been studying the design in private for months. The message was clear. This wasn't a suggestion box. This was a manifesto. In Formula One, verbal feedback is disposable. It disappears the moment the next race weekend starts, but a printed, signed, and archived technical document lives forever. It can be cited in disputes, referenced during design reviews, and passed between departments without the driver ever being in the room. That permanence is where the real power lies. Hamilton's decision to put his 2026 vision on paper was a calculated move to elevate his influence above the noise of weekend debriefs. Leclerc, by his own admission, relies on verbal feedback during visits to the factory. That's the traditional model, reactive, based on adapting to what the engineers give you. But in the politics of a regulation reset, reactive loses to preemptive every time. With Hamilton's